Two Tools Cooking at Good Food Fest 2011, second annual with Nils from Brooklyn Butcher Blocks. Hey Nils, thanks for meeting with me. Can you tell me a little bit about your company and your product? How did you guys first come together and start doing what you do?
A couple years ago, I had to kind of move to Brooklyn. I had started working for Joel Bookwitz of Cup Brooklyn.
Okay.
He's a knife maker.
Okay.
And at the time, I was still kind of pursuing art, so I had majored in college, and that's what I kind of really saw myself doing in the future. But at some point, I just found I don't know, it was going nowhere, and I was just creatively, I was I really need to kind of put that on pause, and maybe I just need to experiment with something else to get kind of a fresh head.
Okay.
So I kind of just decided to stop doing that. I started accumulating woodworking equipment in my basement in Sunset Park.
Okay.
I made a few things, I made some small pieces of furniture, I made a few butcher blocks, I made a small cabinet, and just working with Joel, the butcher blocks was a good fit, so it just kind of stuck.
Okay.
That's pretty much where I am today.
Why butcher blocks over, say, furniture or any other sort of carpentry or woodworking?
I guess there is one thing that I find kind of interesting, particularly about butcher blocks, that you're making a tool that has a certain very specific purpose.
Yeah.
Tables, chairs. In terms of the actual a lot of the sort of skills utilized in chairs, tables, you're talking about a lot of joinery, which is certainly more difficult than doing a butcher block. But there's also something kind of tricky with the butcher block that you really have to design. It has a certain very specific purpose. It's not a passive purpose. It has to actually perform well.
Yeah, it's a functional tool.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Now, so what goes into your butcher blocks?
Pretty much, they're made of I really stick to either walnut or cherry, both of which are from Western Pennsylvania. I try to keep everything in the States. So that comes to me rough cut. Then I mill everything myself in my shop. Do a few rounds of gluing. The glue I use, is food safe. Is also waterproof. And it's actually manufactured in Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, okay.
And then after I do the glue ups, I do an hour or so, more like 2 hours probably sanding to get it to finish. Then they spend an hour submerged in mineral oil.
Wow.
And then they dry out overnight. I clean them up. I dry off any excess the following day. And I buff in a beeswax mineral oil finish.
Okay.
The wax is from New York and Missouri, and the oil is from Texas. And I compost everything at compost from Brooklyn and Kensington.
All right. So if you were to say, how many man hours would it take to put something like this together?
Man hours, not including sort of drying time for glues out of it. It takes me about 6, I think, right now.
6 man hours.
Yeah. There's also some other sort of glue up. It also kind of matters the way that you position the wood. You can actually position the wood in such a way so that it wants to kind of more cohesively wants to expand and contract, as it inevitably will. If you keep it maintained oil and a beeswax mineral oil mix. It's pretty stable, but still it's going to inevitably, there's going to be some sort of variation if it's sitting on the sun or something.
Okay. So
by arranging the grain in a particular pattern, you actually allow the board to kind of more naturally expand and contract together. That's something that can actually take up a little more time than you think. Definitely the sanding, end grain in particular, is difficult to really sand. It's just a lot more elbow grease than
Okay. So now, what sets you, other than aesthetics, which is clearly obvious as far as how great they look, but what sets you apart from, say, Booze Block or something someone can get at Bed Bath & Beyond?
Right. So one thing I do is I do a brickwork pattern, which is kind of most evident in this piece. The brickwork pattern, what's really kind of beneficial about it is that essentially you have one piece of wood here holding together two, right? So this kind of alternating pattern basically creates a stronger glue joint, not stronger glue joint, rather say stronger joint.
Okay.
But whereas a Booze block, what usually happens is that you have kind of like a checkerboard pattern, which, like, you know, it just looks crosshatched. The issue with that is that where the four corners of, like, say, an individual piece would meet is particularly weak. Because, I mean, like, it's just that like the one point where they all meet is like, there's nothing really holding anything together right there. It's just glue. So you really want, like, sort of like a piece of wood kind of to, like, overlap, basically, just to keep it together.
A lot of engineering that goes into that, huh? You wouldn't have thought. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you know, just